All right. So hello, everyone, and welcome to today's webinar. So my name is Alex Alvarez, application engineer here at KETIV Technologies. And here along with me, I have Justin Ferguson. Justin, would you like to say a few words about yourself before we get started?
Sure. Yeah, my name's Justin Ferguson. I've been working pretty closely with Alex and KETIV from the manufacturing side of Autodesk software. I am a technical specialist with Autodesk and have been working with them at Autodesk for about 5 years in advanced manufacturing.
Perfect. So again, what we're going to be talking about today is the Autodesk Make portfolio. All right, so let's go ahead and jump right in. And so again, you'll hear me say the Make portfolio. Right, so maybe you've seen the Make portfolio, maybe you've heard someone else talking about the Make portfolio. What it really is, if you guys take a look at the screen, it's a list of software that ultimately it allows you to make products. Right? So instead of designing products, and once you have the design ready, you're going to go ahead and make the product. These are the products that are going to allow you to make those designs. Now, things such as ModeFlow, NetFab, FeatureCAM, PowerMill, right? So these are some of your most common products. What you see here is not the complete list of the Make portfolio. I do want to point that out. This is going to be geared more towards the advanced side of the Make portfolio. You will see that this portfolio allows you to do anything from design optimization all the way to controlling your robots. So if you guys are interested in either lights out machining, or maybe you guys are interested in manufacturing automation, the Make portfolio is going to be a great place for you guys to get started and really start getting some more exploration and some more familiarity with some of these different softwares. So again, with the Make portfolio, this isn't a finite list. I do want to make sure I point that out. As technology is evolving, as Autodesk is progressing, you are going to see this list evolve and change as the years go on. So moving forward, again, inside of that list, you might have noticed there was one key product that wasn't there, and that was Fusion 360. Now, for those of you guys that aren't aware with Fusion 360, really Fusion 360 is a little bit more on the modern side of the Autodesk tools. What I mean by that is that it's been out on the market for roughly 5-6 years now. And really the best way that I can describe this software is it's a platform for your everyday designer or engineer. Right? So maybe you're doing some electrical work, maybe you're doing a little bit of schematic diagrams, panel layouts, you name it, right? So it does have electrical capabilities built into the software. Once you get that portion created or laid out, you're going to want to design some sort of enclosure, maybe a mount, design that inside of Fusion 360, and without even having to leave the software, you can manufacture those parts and then create toolpaths that are ultimately going to run your CNC machine. So again, this is a platform that your everyday designer and engineer can take advantage of and really leverage the functionality and the different features that are built into that software. Again, being that it's more on the modern side of things, the architecture that Fusion 360 is built on essentially allows Autodesk to build, modify, add features to it much more effectively. Right, so now it doesn't have an architecture that's been worked on for the past 20-30 years. It's been around, like I said, 5-6 years. So the architecture is fairly moldable. You can add features to it. You can modify features based on the technology that's readily available to us. One of the biggest pushes that you've probably seen and heard of is generative design. Right, so again, with generative design, what that ultimately allows you to do is identify thousands of solutions based on the problems that you're defining. So you give it constraints. You give it the manufacturing constraints. What kind of manufacturing capabilities do you guys have available to you, whether it's additive or subtractive? And then based on those constraints and capabilities, generative design is going to give you, like I said, thousands of solutions, viable solutions that you guys can use and start leveraging today. So again, the technology that Fusion 360 is built on is, like I said, much more moldable and easy to add new features to it. All right, and so again, this integrated platform, that's what I like to really refer to it as. It's not just a platform, it's an integrated platform, right? So this platform is gonna allow not only your design team, but it's gonna allow your manufacturing team, really some of your main powerhouse teams that you guys have currently working together, it's gonna allow them to work much more seamlessly. right? Because you're not going to work in a disconnected workflow or with disconnected products. Everything is going to be connected in one single platform. Ultimately, what that's going to allow you to do is your teams are going to collaborate much more seamlessly. And instead of spending time on trying to figure out if you're working on the latest revision, your teams can now start working on innovating your designs and innovating some of the workflows that you guys are currently working through. Again, so just to reiterate what Fusion 360 brings to the table. So again, it's bringing technology together that's been previously disconnected in the past, right? So in order to go from design to manufacturing, maybe it would take 3, 4, 5 different tools just to take your product from the design stage all the way to the manufacturing stage. We're bringing all of that together in one single integrated platform now. Again, being that it's on the modern side of things, Autodesk is quickly investing a lot of time and money and resources into automating some of your processes, right? So anything from designs, you can see that one of the biggest pushes, like I said, is generative design. So they're investing a lot of resources in some of the newer technology that we're seeing available to us now. And then they're extending the capabilities with some of the third-party softwares, right? So maybe you've heard the partnership with ANSYS. So again, being that it is on the more newer side of the spectrum of things, just makes it easier to work with some of the technology that's been out there, right? So now you're not just limited to working with Autodesk software. Now you can start extending those capabilities and really start reaching and cross-pollinating some of these different softwares. So you can start seeing the benefits of Fusion 360, right? And hopefully you can kind of start seeing where I'm heading here. This brings us to the changes that are taking place now with PowerMill, and really this is going to be the main driver of this webinar. So in order to create more awareness, obviously we just talked about some of the benefits that Fusion 360 brings to the table as of right now. We want to make sure we bring more awareness to Fusion 360 with some of the main powerhouse products that Autodesk currently has. So with that, we're going to go ahead and talk about some of the repackaging strategies. The biggest changes that are taking place with PowerMill are that we now have 2 subscriptions in place, right? Or 2 repackaging subscriptions in place. So we now have the Autodesk Fusion 360 with PowerMill Standard subscription and the Autodesk Fusion 360 with PowerMill Ultimate subscription. I want to point out, because I can't stress this enough, how many times I've gone on forums or I've gotten emails. PowerMill is not getting built into Fusion 360. It's still a standalone software. Fusion 360 is not going away. It's not getting built into PowerMill. So again, these are still going to be standalone softwares. You're still using the same technology that you're using today. You're just getting additional benefits built into these subscriptions.
It's a simplification of the subscriptions as well. Because previously we had standard, premium, and ultimate, and now we've broken it down into 2. So it's a very easy decision. If you have a certain capability that you need, that's the cutoff to go into ultimate, and anything below that is in standard. But as we look at this packaging and what's included in the different packages, there really isn't a whole bunch of difference other than PowerMill Ultimate, PowerMill Standard, and also in the Ultimate version is the additive build extension when it becomes commercially available.
Yeah, and that's exactly right. So it's bringing a lot of clarity, and it's really just giving you limiting not only your options, but it's making it more clear on what you can go with, right? So it's going to be Autodesk Fusion 360 with PowerMill Standard, or Autodesk Fusion 360 with PowerMill Ultimate. So again, if you're exploring maybe the possibility of going into additive, or maybe you're dabbling in the idea of, in a couple months, maybe a couple years down the road, you guys want to start exploring the additive side of things, then the Autodesk Fusion 360 with PowerMill Ultimate subscription would be the route to take. So again, making it easier to kind of choose some of these subscriptions as you're moving forward. So again, if you guys have looked into it, or maybe you guys in the past have purchased PowerMill. So in the past, there have been 3 different tiers, if you want to call them. So there was PowerMill Standard, Premium, and Ultimate. Like Justin mentioned, Premium is getting incorporated into Ultimate. So now there's only one subscription with called Fusion 360 with PowerMill Ultimate, and then another one with PowerMill Standard. So again, we're not getting rid of really any technology. If anything, you're getting additional benefits built into the subscription. And again, the tools are going to stay exactly the same. They're not getting built into one another. That's another common confusion I get is, well, Fusion 360 is getting built into PowerMill, or PowerMill is getting, vice versa. That's not the case. There's still going to be standalone softwares. It's just going to be additional benefits, right? So another tool in your guys' toolbox. Maintenance customers. So you guys can still continue to have an optional move to subscription with the or the maintenance trade-in offer, obviously with some special pricing there as well. I do want to point out that this is already in place, right? So as of September 14th, this change already took place. So if you have a Fusion 360, if you're looking into Fusion 360, or maybe you're looking into PowerMill, like I said, now you have the option to get that Fusion 360 with PowerMill subscription. All right. So again, moving forward, like I said, this webinar is going to focus on the Power products. So your PowerMill, PowerInspect, and PowerShape. So again, if you guys have any of those three softwares, this information is all going to pertain to the Power products. Now with PowerInspect, very similar. You can, again, there's going to be a repackaging with Fusion 360. So now you're going to have an Autodesk with Autodesk Fusion 360 with PowerInspect subscription. Now this one's slightly different because as opposed to PowerMill, you had two different subscriptions. With PowerInspect, you really now only have one option. And really the biggest change is that instead of having the three tiers that you saw with very similar to PowerMill, where it was standard, ultimate, and premium, you now just have one subscription, right? So again, kind of going back and tying it back to what Justin was saying, it's bringing a lot more clarity to the customer. So instead of providing three different options, you now just have one option to select from. I do want to point out though, if you're going to renew, there is an option for Autodesk PowerInspect Standard, but that only applies to renewals only. If you're going to be a new subscriber, or this is going to be a new subscription to you, it's going to be Autodesk Fusion 360 with PowerInspect only. So again,
similar to the way that we talk about the previous slides, where you get more value with this retained access to PowerInspect, it's the same thing PowerMill, it's the same thing PowerInspect, it's the same thing PowerShape. We'll see that coming up.
Exactly. Yeah, and again, very similar. So the change already took place. So it's also going to apply to maintenance customers. So again, this is something that if you guys have any questions on, maybe you want to get a little bit more information on, like I said, let us know in the chat. Make sure that you guys are bringing this to our attention. If there's anything that you guys aren't understanding, again, make sure that you're speaking up and letting us know about that.
Alex, I want to point out something on the last slide, and it pertains both to PowerMill and PowerInspect. And that's one big thing, is that included value of the machining extension. Now, when the machining extension was introduced, it was a month-to-month process to be able to get the manufacturing or machining extension. When you get the PowerMill subscription or the PowerInspect subscription, it comes with a 1-year term on that machining extension. So that's really increased value that you get by having this package together, Fusion 360 with PowerMill and Fusion 360 with PowerInspect.
Yeah, that's absolutely right. And like I said, a lot of people, if you guys aren't Fusion 360 users, like I said, here at KETIV, we do have just a host of different videos. We have talked about the machining extensions. We talked about what that is in the first place, how do you access them. So again, being that we have this repackaging going on, this is going to be a perfect time for you guys to start exploring those different capabilities and those different tools that are now available to you guys. All right, and then the last one of the Power products that we're going to talk about is going to be PowerShape. Again, PowerShape is also going through this repackaging, so you're going to have the Autodesk Fusion 360 with PowerShape subscription. Very similar to how PowerInspect, had it. So this subscription is going to include the PowerShape Ultimate. One key difference that I do want to point out, and I make sure that making sure that everyone is aware of this. The only difference with this subscription is that it doesn't have access to the machining extensions, right? So you'll see what's included. You'll see that you don't have access to the machining extensions. So if that's something that you were interested in, that would be a separate purchase for those manufacturing extensions, right? So just one thing to be aware of if you're going forward with the Fusion 360 with PowerShape subscription. And again, previously there were 3 tiers with PowerShape as well. So you had PowerShape Standard, Premium, and Ultimate. Like I said, bringing more clarity into the PowerShape subscription, you're now going to get one subscription only. And again, that's just going to provide added value. You're combining. So if you were using Premium only, you now have the access to the Ultimate. And not only that, you also have access to additional tools, right? So things such as Fusion 360, and then some of the different environments that Fusion 360 also brings to the table. So one key thing to note here is that PowerShape Standard and Premium customers do receive a free upgrade to Ultimate. So again, that's kind of what I was saying here in the previous slide, is that if you guys were in the Standard or Premium versions previously, you are going to get, like I said, additional value, and then you're going to get that free upgrade to Ultimate, right? So again, pretty nice takeaway from the repackaging here. Okay, so which leads us to the customer benefits, right? So again, a lot of talk we're hearing. Well, you know what? I'm not really going to use Fusion 360. Maybe I'm not familiar with it. I really don't see a place for the software right now. And that's the key thing, right? You don't really see a place for it right now, but you don't know down the line, couple months, maybe a year or so, right? You don't know what your company is going to be doing at that point. Like I said, Fusion 360 is constantly evolving. Maybe they're going to start adding technology that you're going to eventually start using, or they're going to start adding features that you guys can really start leveraging. Not only that, Fusion 360 and PowerMill do work pretty well hand in hand, and it works well with the other Power products as well. And so again, there's 3 key pillars as to why Autodesk is really going through this repackaging. One, and we've been talking about this pretty extensively here, it just brings more clarity to the subscription-based model. Right. So again, instead of having to choose, maybe you have a chart laid out, you have the pros and cons of going between Standard and Ultimate. That all goes away. Right now, you have a much more simpler set of options. You know exactly what one subscription is going to bring to the table, and it's bringing you just much more clarity. It's giving you access to much more technology. So like I said, Fusion 360, like it comes built in. It's a platform for your everyday designer or engineer. So if you are doing any kind of design and engineer work, you now have one more tool in your toolbox, right? And then not to mention the added value. So you'll see, or you saw in the previous slides, that some customers are actually getting a free upgrade to the Ultimate version. So again, it's just providing added value. We're not getting rid of any tools. It's still going to be the same technology that you guys are currently using, same tools that you guys are using today. You just get added value with Fusion 360 and the machining extensions as well.
So we got a question that came in. Alex, if you'll go to the next couple slides, we'll go through this. Customer asked if they are an existing PowerMill Premium, PowerMill Ultimate, PowerInspect Ultimate user, do they need to have a new subscription when this process rolls through? In this case, our answer is that it's an automatic process for existing users, and you should see almost no change, except for when you go into your Autodesk account. What you'll see is instead of it having multiple different subscriptions there, you're going to see the name difference, Fusion 360 with PowerMill Ultimate. Because you have PowerMill Premium and PowerMill Ultimate, they're all going to be PowerMill Ultimate for you in the future. And the same thing with PowerInspect Ultimate. It's just going to say PowerInspect on this user management. So when you're actually putting the users, assigning the users to these different seats, that's where you're going to see this name change. And what you'll notice is on actually the next slide, you'll be able to download the software, and it's going to look identical to the way that we've downloaded before. So Alex, if you'll go to the next slide, you'll see each user then has the ability to go in and view the downloads for that standalone product. So at the top, You'll see that first one is Fusion 360. That's included with this subscription. You can see that they've got the manufacturing extension that's already on there. And PowerMill Ultimate is its standalone download, which is no change. Now, the same thing is going to be shown for PowerInspect and PowerShape. Those are going to show as the PowerInspect Ultimate Installer and PowerShape Ultimate Installer. And PowerMill, you'll have either if you have the standard version or the ultimate version, that's the installer that'll show up in this account. So I hope that was the answer that you're looking for on this question, but it's absolutely a fantastic question to bring in.
Yeah, and that's awesome, and good thing we brought that up, because again, it's going to behave the same exact way that the FeatureCAM repackaging took place. So very similar to how FeatureCAM and so the Fusion 360 with FeatureCAM package or subscription now looks, it's going to be very similar to that, right? So you're not going to get a Fusion 360 with FeatureCAM essentially download. They're still going to be separated in their own standalone softwares in your Autodesk account. So again, like I said, don't hesitate to reach out if you're having issues. Just feel free to give us a call. So this is going to be a great way for you guys to ask questions. So if anything else comes up, I know we answered some of the questions here as we were going through it. But like I said, to wrap everything up, this just brings in more added value to you guys. Again, it's providing a lot more clarity in terms of what software to go with, what tier to go with. You're getting Fusion 360, you're getting the manufacturing extensions, you're getting all the environments that come included inside of the software. And not only that, it's also bringing in more awareness to the different technology that's already out there. Right, so again, if you guys have any questions, either right now or maybe sometime down the line, feel free to reach out to me, and like I said, I'll go ahead and be glad to answer any questions that you guys might have. So Justin, anything else on your end?
Alex?
Yep. Anything else on your end that you'd like to add?
No, that's all from me. Thank you all for joining us today. And Alex and KETIV, thank you for hosting this webinar.
Awesome. Yeah, thank you guys. We'll see you on the next one.